Hello and welcome to Band in a Box 2008.5 and RealTracks sets 2 through 9. In this video we will demonstrate some of the many new RealTracks styles as well as the great new features in Band in a Box 2008.5 that make the RealTracks come alive. Right now we're listening to a Real style, which is a Band in a Box style that uses no MIDI at all. Every instrument you hear is from an actual performance by an actual musician, pieced together by Band in a Box based on the chords that were entered. To fully appreciate what this means, the best thing to do is enter a completely new set of chord changes. We'll press New and then enter C, C7, F, A minor, and G. Just to show you we can, we'll enter E minor 7 flat 5, then A minor, then D minor 7th and G, finally C and G. We'll set the song to 8 bars long and press play. After a short wait, made even shorter with new routines in Band in a Box 2008.5, our song is played flawlessly by Band in a Box with all real instruments. You can hear that when it hits the E minor 7 flat 5 chord, it nails it. Let's check out some more of these real styles. In the style picker, you'll see that there is a specific category for real styles in addition to the styles with RealTracks that combine RealTracks with MIDI. Every style comes with a demo with chord progressions we've entered to show off the style, so let's listen to the demos for some of these real styles. This one, Ballad R, is very similar to the last style we heard, but it has a dreamy electric guitar track instead of the pedal steel, and an even-eighths rock drum beat instead of the 16th bass Nashville groove. Let's listen to the individual RealTracks by soloing each track. Here's the electric bass part. Here is the finger-picking acoustic guitar. Here is the strummed acoustic guitar. And here is that dreamy electric guitar. This style is a syncopated country groove, and it has a sax solo built right into the style. If I then press Load Song Demo, it loads and automatically plays the demo for that style. As you can see, when I click on the various instruments, here it displays the specific RealTracks instrument assigned to that track. This also includes the real drum style. This real style contains only jazz double bass RealTracks and real drums, and is great for pianists or guitarists who want to practice playing along with just a rhythm section. For this demo, the melody and soloist tracks do contain MIDI piano and guitar melody, just to demonstrate how a musician would utilize this style. This style also demonstrates a new RealTracks feature, multiple substyles. bass is currently playing in 2, and now that it's reached the second chorus, it's playing a walking line. Now, while Band & Box does piece these parts together based on the chords you entered, it doesn't simply randomly throw together a bunch of different bars of playing. You can tell when listening to this bass part that one bar transitions smoothly into the next. And of course, you're not limited to the tempo that the RealTracks were recorded at. With each RealTracks instrument, you have a wide tempo range where the instrument is useful. With most of the instruments, you can either subtract 10 or add 40 beats per minute to the tempo of the original, and the style will still sound great. I'll bring this tune up to 200 beats per minute, and you can hear that the bass still sounds excellent. If your tastes are on the heavier side, we also have some metal reel styles. Here's a style that has real drums, metal bass RealTracks, metal rhythm guitar RealTracks, as well as an embedded wild guitar solo that will shred over the whole works. This is a great style to use to demonstrate a few new features in Band & Box 2008.5. First of all, there is a feature where with some styles the solo is created based on the key of the song rather than the chords that are going by. With some styles, such as many jazz and country styles, you'd want the solo to be based on the chords, but for a style like metal, it sounds better for the soloist to just be ripping over a single chord, even when the chordal movement underneath it is changing. The user can therefore control what the soloist plays by changing the key of the song. I'll show you an example with a brand new song, but using the same reel style. The song is in the key of C, so I'll put in a few random chord changes that are common in the key of C. B flat, F, G. Here's a shortcut. I'll press K to copy the last 4 bars. Then at bar 9, I'll completely switch gears and change the key of the song to E by pressing F5 and entering E. I'll enter some different chords common to E. I'll just alternate between E and D for 6 bars. Then I'll return to the key of C at bar 15 and enter the chords F and G. And back to the C chord at bar 17. Here's another thing you can do. Up until now, the solo will be following the key, not the chords, but if you want to override this, you can enter a 5 chord. So if I enter E flat 5 here at bar 21, then at this point the soloist will actually play over E flat, even though the key is C. I'll set the song length to 24 bars and press play. The result is a much smoother solo since it's only concerned with finding phrases in C rather than phrases that specifically consider the C, B flat, F, G progression. Then here at bar 9, it knows that it now has to find phrases in the key of E. And at bar 15, it's back to soloing in the key of C. And now at bar 21, even though we haven't entered a key change, the chord was E flat 5, so it knows to solo over E flat. And then back to C. There's also another way to use RealTracks, and that is the new right-click menus on the individual instruments. If you right-click on a BB instrument, a new menu comes up which allows you to override the MIDI on that track with the RealTracks instrument, or override an embedded RealTracks instrument in the style with a different instrument. We'll do that here with the soloist. As you can see, this style has the wild soloist embedded in it, but as you can see in the list, there are several variations of the same soloist. We're going to show you this variation, the wild crescendo soloist. With this soloist, it restricts itself to simpler phrases near the beginning of the solo, but then in the last half of the solo it starts to play faster runs and wilder passages, much the same way that a real soloist will often build a solo. If I right-click on the track, I can select Regenerate RealTracks, which means that the program will only generate that track and will simply replay the rest of the tracks without taking the extra time to regenerate them. Let's skip ahead to the second chorus. You can hear that the solo is still fairly tame here, but at about 2/3 of the way through the entire song, the soloist starts to play faster, effectively building the solo. Let's check out a few more RealTracks demos. This time we'll look in the Styles with RealTracks category, which means that all styles will have RealTracks in them, but some may combine those with MIDI instruments. Here's a great train beat groove with some chicken pickin' rhythm guitar and soloist. Here's a medium country swing with acoustic guitar and pedal steel. Now let's try making a brand new song from scratch without even thinking of a specific RealTracks style, and we'll see if we can then find a good RealTracks style to go along with it. Say, for example, you've got a song in your head that's about this speed. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, the first thing you could do is enter that tempo by just counting, and then either clicking here or by tapping the minus key. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can see that the tempo is then automatically entered, in this case 92 beats per minute. I'll right click to enter the chord builder. I'll enter the first chord as C major, and then I'll press the arrow key to skip ahead to bar 2. You can test out as many different combinations of roots and chords here until you find one that you think is right for your song. We'll pick E flat. Then F, then G. We'll use the same trick with the K to copy. I'll just enter a few more chords quickly to flesh it out. And to demonstrate that RealTracks now works with shots, I'll add a shot at bar 16 by typing G ... And now we'll try and find a RealTracks style that might work with this song. I'll open the style picker, and we'll try and find a style that's somewhat close in tempo to our 92 beats per minute. As you click on the styles, you can view their memos. Here's one whose ideal tempo is 85 beats per minute. And you can see from the memo that it's a modern country ballad with fingerpicking guitar. We can listen to our song with this style by simply pressing the preview button. And you can hear that even though the ideal tempo is 85, it still sounds great at 92 beats per minute. And as you're listening, you can look for other possible styles as well. This one looks like it has 3 RealTracks styles: resonator guitar, bass, and acoustic guitar. So let's check that one out. And that's a great one for our song. And you can hear how all of the RealTracks pay attention to the shot at bar 16. And of course, all of the instruments come to a unified close. Let's have a look again at the RealTracks assignment dialog. We've seen how you can assign RealTracks instruments to any BB instrument, but let's have a closer look at what else you can do in the RealTracks dialog. If you've assigned RealTracks to a style that has no RealTracks embedded, you can save the style using this button, and any volume levels you've set for your current song will also be embedded in the style. You can sort the RealTracks using any of these columns, which makes it particularly easy to find the style that's perfect for your song. Since our current song is 90 beats per minute, let's sort by tempo. These instruments are all close to our current song, and we can use the preview button that allows you to sample the specific RealTracks styles, either solo or in a band context. Let's check out the guitar slide background blues even 85 style. Here it is solo. And here it is in a band context. So we can add this RealTracks style to our new song. I'll press Regenerate RealTracks, which will leave the other instruments intact, and we'll start the song. Here's another new feature in Band in a Box 2008.5. The slide guitar and the dobro are conflicting a bit, but the new float mixing and peak limiter feature prevents audio clipping, so even though there are two instruments mixed fairly high together, the mix won't clip. One way to reduce the conflict is to pan the two instruments to different sides of the stereo spectrum. I'll pan the slide guitar to the left and the dobro to the right. Which you can hear greatly lessens the conflict. You can also, of course, adjust volume levels for each instrument separately, which makes it easy to blend the instruments together. And if you want to save just that instrument as an audio file, you can do so using the same right-click menu and selecting Save RealTracks as WAV. And if we go to that folder, we can see the WAV file that we created and check it out. One of the really great things about RealTracks is that you can mix and match genres and styles, and there's a lot of room for creativity in that. I'm going to load a MIDI style demo, Usher 2. Now this is entirely MIDI, but any of these tracks can be replaced with RealTracks. We'll right-click on the piano, and on this track we'll replace the MIDI with Guitar Acoustic Fingerpicking 65. And then we'll replace the strings with Guitar Electric Background Dreamy. Then when we press play, the MIDI is replaced with the RealTracks, and we get a fantastic fusion of styles. The third way to add RealTracks to your song is to use the soloist feature. This feature has been around in Band in a Box for a long time, but until recently has only been used to create MIDI solos. However, all of the great features that applied to the MIDI soloist also apply to RealTracks. We'll open up an all MIDI style demo, J. Brown. You can hear that all of the instruments are MIDI, and there is a MIDI melody being played as well. I'll press the soloist button, and all of the available soloists are listed here, but I'll limit this to only show RealTracks. The soloist I'd like to use here is number 403, the Motown rock sax soloist. I'll set a few parameters here. I'd like it to solo for all choruses, but I'd like it to solo around the melody. When I press OK, it generates the solo, but you can hear that it only solos at points where there is space in the melody. Then when the second chorus comes around, the melody is no longer going, so the sax solo takes off. We hope you've enjoyed checking out all of the great new features in Band in a Box 2008.5 and RealTracks sets 2 through 9.